Hey, Artofmotiongarage podcast number 2. Welcome back for the 2 people that probably listen to this podcast so far. Today, I would like to touch on the new Hondatas for the Civic Type R and the Accord and how fucking awesome all that is. These new Hondas, it's like Honda's back again. It's crazy. They everything's making gobs of power by just retuning them. I just don't understand. And there's a lot of bass lines too on like the new Civic Type R's that are close to or more, putting down more numbers than what Honda originally has said. And of course that's going to vary dyno to dyno, but I mean, that's crazy to see. It's the ones I've seen baseline have been, I think it was Nemo's Garage. Shout out at Nemo's Garage on Instagram, on the gram. Theirs, I think it did like 302 to the wheels. And today's March 30th, by the way. So today was the drop of Hondata's Flash Pro for the Civic Type R. So if you're not going to be hearing this on the 30th, but that's what today is, and that's what happened. So Hondata did a live video on Instagram running through what the new Flash Pro was, and you know, the dyno charts for the certain tunes that they got, and even a little Honda insider information about how they develop production engines, which is super interesting. So we're probably going to focus on that today. I'm excited because, like I said, these new Hondas seem to be bringing back that old 90s feel where everybody wants them again, and there's something new and exciting around the corner, and they left enough room for us to fuck around. And I mean, it's overall just awesome. So let's jump right into it. The new Flash Pro, so it's for the new Civic Type R, FK8, and Honda. Like I said, Hondata did a live video earlier on Instagram, which I watched after the fact. I missed it by like an hour or something like that. So they did a baseline with their, this was super interesting. They did a baseline with their Civic Type R, and on their dyno, it put down 317 wheel horsepower and 332 foot-pounds of torque. What? That is so crazy. So Honda said, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows. Well, I'm just reiterating stuff everybody knows. What the hell? We'll find out what we're doing with this damn thing, but I'll just keep going. So the stock numbers were 306 horsepower, and I don't remember the torque one off my head. Sweet research. But it was somewhere around there too. And like that thing, Hondata specific one put down 317 and 332 on their dyno, which I don't know what they're using for a dyno. And they even said in the video that it's a little optimistic and probably reads higher than other dynos. But those numbers are pretty awesome. And so they did a couple different tunes that you can choose from. One was a 91 octane tune, a 93 octane, and an E25. So that means 25% ethanol. And they said that they installed a sensor in the fuel line to read ethanol content. And so the 91 tune, and again, as of yet, I don't think they have posted any of the dyno charts yet. We can check that out while we're talking, though, because that's the beauty of the internet. But healthy numbers. So the 93 tune, I saw, he said it was 400 foot-pounds of torque, which is insane to me on a stock car with just high fuel grade and a tune. I just can't believe all these new Hondas. I mean, the Accord they released the Flash Pro 4 earlier this week, and that thing with just a 93 tune and a 93 octane tune was, well, 300 and something, and then 375 foot-pounds of torque on their stage 2 tune for that. That is nuts. And it's just crazy. Like, Honda had to have done that on purpose for sure. Like, they know that we want these cars and we want to mess with them, so they put that in there for us. They like left us some room right off the bat to get us stoked up on it. And so so I'm a mini technician at a car dealership, and so I know the ECUs in those cars pretty decently. I mean, we don't get to too much of playing around inside of them other than updating software and using the diagnosis system to kind of look around it a little bit. But those are Bosch ECUs. And so I didn't know this until today that the Civic Type R has a Bosch ECU. And that's why they had to spend a lot of time figuring the thing out. Because I know with BMW and Minis, in our world, it's called a DME, which is a digital motor electronics. And when people tune those, they almost always, I mean, pretty sure always, unless they use like some sort of Flash Pro type device, have to send it out to get unlocked. And so that's the same for this car, which is just weird to me because it's a Honda. You know, we're used to just being able to flash them or swap the ECUs out with Hondata equipped units. So that was really interesting to me too. And I wonder why they went with that. Yeah, I'm not seeing on Hondata's website anything about the dyno charts yet. Just saying it's available and that you can order it. Yeah, I don't see anything about that. But it was super crazy to see what Honda has been doing with these things. Man. So I am really excited to see how these things are going to react when you start comboing up some parts on them. You know, intakes, exhausts, intercoolers, downpipes, piping. I mean, this is really going to be exciting. The next couple years for these cars, it's just going to be super fun to see what people figure out with them. And turbo upgrades. That's what I'm really excited for. That's going to be awesome. So, you know, I don't even know what turbos are in them now or what Honda's using. I want to say that they're like, they got to be some sort of, so most, you know, what the Euro cars are using, which are like KO3s or whatever. And what's really interesting is that it's not a twin scroll. Like twin scroll is a thing. All BMW, all Mini. I'm pretty sure Volkswagen too is using twin scroll stuff. So I mean, even just it's kind of mind-boggling why they didn't go with twin scrolls with a twin scroll manifold and turbo. That right there, I mean, almost with a smaller turbo is going to almost eliminate boost lag. So, I mean, I would really think that would be a feature in some sort of turbo upgrade for sure. That would not be a bad move. Custom manifold and twin scroll turbo. It's got to be. So I wonder who's coming out with that. Whether it be Garrett will make a drop in turbo for it. I mean, somebody's got to be working on that. And that's going to be super exciting to see. Man, these things are going to just get 500 horse with both. I'm like, I don't know. It just seems so crazy that just a stock car with better fuel and a tune is getting that. And so, I mean, you just kind of do some bullshit adding up in your head with bolt-on upgrades, and I mean, you're gonna make decent power, mad decent power. That's an exciting time, and I feel like cars in general are back. For a long time there, it was like nothing was really exciting, and now it's almost every brand of every automaker has something that you go, ooh, that could be cool. What could we do with that? I mean, it's even American stuff. Ford seems to be killing it. That RS is a badass ride. That thing is sweet. So they got the Focus ST, and that new Mustang looks awesome too. That thing looks so good, so good. It looks. I always think from the side, it's like Aston Martinish, like super Euro, and it's sleek and has sharp lines, and it's curvy at the same time, just like a lot of Euro stuff. Like that just looks great. I mean, it's so weird. I mean, Mustangs have always been. They've had a look about them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like they were a little. They had like square lines, but it just made them look bulky and just kind of cheesy. But I mean, that's my opinion. But yeah, Ford's doing great. Toyota's coming back with the Supra, Gazoo Racing Supra, whatever that thing is. I mean, that thing looks great. And they're joining up with BMW for that, which is super kind of like why. But it is what it is. People have been waiting for that car for a long time, and it seems like they're really dragging ass on it. And then there was some talk of Mazda coming back with an RX series car with a new rotary, which would be it's just like the 90s are back. It's crazy. And Toyota's had the 86 or the Scion FRS or the BRZ for a few years now, and that's a great looking car, but it's underpowered. And from a starting point, I mean, it's great because it's rear wheel drive and what mechanical LSD. So I mean, it's set up to play around with. I don't. If you're teaming up with Subaru, why is there not a factory turbocharged version of it? I mean, I feel like the price point's low enough to where you could add a few grand onto it and, sell some of those things. That's always been kind of the weird part about that. So you got Toyota, Mazda, Honda's back. Honda's got the new NSX, and just like it seems every car in their lineup is just there's something great about it. Oh, and Acura's bringing back the A-spec nomenclature and trim packages. Like that new 2019 RDX just seeing pictures of that, I mean, even that thing looks awesome. It looks sporty. It's got the technology in it. I mean, obviously Honda's boosting all the things today, which is that in itself is like, wow. Like this is such a huge turning point for Honda. 10 years ago, if you would have told me that there's going to be a turbocharged VTEC Civic Type R for the US market, I would have thought you were crazy. It's like they had a long stretch of time where they just felt like they ignored everybody and focused on other stuff. But they are back, and they're back for us. This is a great time for cars. It's super cool. BMW's doing some sweet stuff too. And that new M5 is badass. If you get a chance, you need to look up that car in purple silk metallic. Purple's my favorite color. And anytime I can mix my favorite color with cars in some way, I mean, that's just a recipe for success for me. And so they make this new M5 in a special color. I believe it's only available on the new M5. And it's right up my alley. It's just like this sweet metallic purple. And they do sort of the gunmetal gray wheels on it. And it just looks perfect. It's like the perfect car. Throw some carbon accent on that and I'm on it. Carbon roof. Ooh. I love that BMW loves to do that. Very exciting time, man. This is crazy. It's super cool to see. And like I'm an adult now that, I'm not just a kid that has no money and, that's impossible. Making the right moves and having the right ducks in a row, these things are obtainable, and it's finally a sweet car that Honda makes that most anyone can afford, as opposed to coming out with something like the S2000 where I mean you're in your 20s, you're most likely not going to be able to afford a $40,000 car. But all those days are long gone. Gone with the wind. So yeah, Hondata is doing great things with all the new Hondas, and I'm super excited to see what they're bringing to the table, and I'm going to stay posted on that. One other super interesting thing in the Hondata Live video was the fact that they shared that they learned from some of the like designers in Honda when it comes to deciding their production engines. So when they build a prototype or whatever you want to call it, and they're kind of done with the development of it, and it's in the final stage before they decide any last minute changes before they start dropping these things in all the cars in their lineup. And so they put the things on the dyno, and for 200 hours, I don't know if it's consecutive or certain time periods, but a total of 200 hours they run this thing on an engine dyno at the peak horsepower. 200 hours, that's 8 days of just straight. So they must rev that thing up to where it makes the most power and just leave it there for 8 days. That's insane to me. And then after that, they go another 8 days at peak RPM. Can you imagine what that sounds like? Just running an engine at, what are these things? I mean, now they're turbo. They're not the high revving engines of yesteryear anymore. So they got to be running up to like somewhere in the 7,500 RPMs or 77, somewhere in there. So these things are just pegged for 8 days. And if it passes all that, and I'm sure they totally disassemble it and analyze it after that and decide, you know, what kind of abuse it took. And then think about all the engines that made it through that, and they're in everyday Hondas. That that is intense. No wonder these things never blow up. You can throw anything at them, basically, with with a little bit of common sense. But man, Honda builds some tough shit. That's what it comes down to. So I wonder how much different that is from what other car manufacturers are doing. It can't. I mean, what are they doing? What are other manufacturers doing to test their engines or test other parts of cars? And I think that's probably the coolest thing about the car industry, is how, Toyota gets wind about that's how Honda does it. So, they try and figure out another way that, they can do that with theirs, or they can find another way to make their stuff tougher, and this and that. And it just piles from there. And that's the beauty of competition. And there used to be a lot more of that in this community in general. You were integrating yourself with people online through forums or what have you. And it was a community, but you were all competing too. You're going, oh man, this dude did this with his intake manifold, and that looks sweet. So what can I do that kind of gets me on that level too? I like how I did that, so let me do that, or maybe improve on that idea, and it just snowballs from there. But today, it's just like people shitting on each other all the time, especially on Facebook. Like, I don't even have Facebook installed on my phone. I can't deal with it anymore. I just can't. I don't need to see what people are eating for dinner, or like all these threads on car pages that are like, name this part, wrong answers only. That stuff is so, I don't know. It's just a bit goofy. There's no like substantial opinion or something to take away from that you can utilize towards your own car, your own skills. It's just nothing. It's just like a goofy way to pass time. So I feel like a lot of things like that add up, and that slowly just pulls, I don't know, to me, all the art of it all out of it, or the passion of it. It just becomes this thing that people just constantly make fun of each other, or just get goofy instead of learning, which is like a distraction. It's almost using cars as a distraction, as opposed to something valuable that will most certainly change your perspective on other things in your life, just based off struggling through getting some engine to fire up, or getting bodywork or paint done on your car. You learn things from that you can carry on through other parts of your life, and other parts of your life will help that. And I know that because if it wasn't for me messing with my B16 swapped hatch when I was a kid, I wouldn't be a mechanic today. Like, for sure, this whole hobby is why I am a professional mechanic now. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I didn't go to tech school or anything like that, or wake up one day and go, I'm going to be a mechanic. It's just something that happened because I loved doing it on my own time, and it was just like a natural progression for me. That wouldn't have happened if I wasn't playing around with that hatch. But kids today don't really seem to be interested in actually working on their car and, figuring stuff out and taking lessons away, as opposed I just feel like they just want to look the part and walk the walk, but all they're doing is talking. That's just a different thing these days. So I hope, anything I say, I can help or just give something back. That's the main reason that I'm here doing this. And, I don't know if I want to be a mechanic at a car dealer for the rest of my life. I would really love to do this sort of thing on my own and have more control over my life, and cars is going to be that. I'm sure of it. Absolutely. I mean, that would just be great if I could just, do what I want to do and make a living from it. Not be a millionaire. A lot of people get hung up on just wanting to make the most money they can. But if I could make what I make now, but I'm in control of it and it's on my terms and I'm doing all the work for me, I mean, that would most certainly turn my life around in a professional aspect. Everything else in my life is great. This is like, I feel like the last part of me that I need to figure out how I can make a living doing what I want to do. And that's really what I'm trying to figure out here. And I want to help. I don't know. I kind of really dig in the fact that I'm kind of a little bit older now and I've been doing this for a while. Been in the car industry for 10 years. So I kind of feel like, okay, I'm still new as shit to it, but I also do know some stuff. So if I can help somebody else out with that and, teach them tips and tricks on stuff, I mean, that's what it's all about. That is definitely one of the big ups, is just being able to help other people with that stuff. And, I like just having fun with it. But I gotta tell you, being a mechanic at a car dealership, the stuff you're doing there and the stuff you're doing in your garage, two totally different things. And it's not fun all the time. I mean, it gets pretty monotonous, especially working on the same brand of car. Like you're just working on the same cars all day, every day. And you really get excited with problem cars. At least I do. Because I know every mechanic's sort of big pitfall. Not every, but most of us struggle with electrical diagnosis. So when you get that car that has that weird issue, I mean, that I just love diving into those cars. And I just like to figure things out on my own. I always have. So when those cars come along, I mean, those are the fun days in the dealership world, to me anyways. A lot of people don't like it and they dread it and they just whatever, pass cars off to someone else or don't work on it at all. But I like to grow, so those are the cars you grow on. But I still got to tell you, I think I'd rather be building up and changing up some old Japanese cars, golden era Hondas or whatever, like on my own terms, or even detailing. I love detailing cars. And I did that at the same car dealership I work at now for a number of years before I switched over. And that's, for me, it's really satisfying detailing cars. And it's easy, clean work you can do almost anywhere. So that alone, I mean, there's a lot of money in it, but there's also a lot of people doing it. So you got to find a way to splash into that and kind of, I don't know, do something somebody else isn't doing, or just do it really, really good. So those are my goals. I want to make a living doing what I want to do, not make a living for somebody else, you know, being the muscle for them. And I think that's how everybody should be. Working for somebody else should be just like a stepping stone to figuring out what you want to do, or being experienced in what you want to do. And that's it. So, we've been going for a little while now. I think that could be the end of episode number 2. Hondata's got a lot of great stuff coming out for these new Hondas. I'm hoping to help everybody push forward, maybe give some tips and talk about my experiences. Maybe you guys share the same perspective on certain things in this hobby or industry, and that's all I want to hear. We're into this together. We in this together. So you can follow along over on Instagram at Artofmotiongarage, all one word. Tell me how I'm doing. Say, hey man, you really suck at this. Change this. I'm open to that because I really want to make, this a thing. So I need to know what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And no harm, no foul. Only up from here. Also visit Big Mike's new website. That is thinkbiggerproject.com. I mean, that whole thing's part of the reason I'm even sitting in my basement in front of this microphone in the first place. So go check that out. Buy some merch from him. Support that. I urge anyone listening to this who's in this thing and thinks they have, something that they want to do for this community, just do it. Don't worry about failing. You'll get there if you put the work in. So let's do this. Alrighty. Bye guys.